Hello everyone, welcome to a day late episode of Music of the Week. We have about 6 albums to go through. If you hear the noise, that is my fan going off because it's still really fucking hot. So yeah, 6 albums to go through, so let's go through them. We begin with Born of Osiris and their newest album Through Shadows, a good bit of proggy metalcore stuff. This is a band I sort of enjoy. I did find their previous two albums to be a bit weak, but I think of all the albums, this is my favourite one of theirs. I give it a B. I think it's got some really good riffs. I like how the guitar work transitions between things. I like that there's good technical stuff, but there's also more guitar solos, which I think was a complaint I remember having about previous albums. I think it's really good. I do like the themes of using shadow as well, hence the album's title, Through Shadows, like shadow and light to reflect the inner struggle. And honestly, if they wanted to make it a concept album, I wouldn't have been mad about that. It's a really good thing to build a story around. I'm so surprised and a tad disappointed they didn't do it, but it's a good theme ultimately, and it's pretty well written too. I think the band do a solid job together, and I will shout out Lee McKinney, considering this was his last album with the band. He's the lead guitarist, I think. He's one of the guitarists. I think he's the lead guitarist, but I know he's one of the guitarists. He does a really good job for his last shift with the band. Production's really good too. I like the effects on most of the sounds. It makes everything sound quite nice and bulky, which is a welcome addition to the band's production. I don't know if they have a different producer, but this one was done by KJ Strock and Zach Jones alongside the band, so yeah, surprisingly it doesn't feel overcooked despite all the people working on it. And I think the pacing is a little bit weak. It's got some good ideas and a good flow, but it can get a bit bloated, and a few songs overstay their welcome. But yeah, all in all, just really nicely put together prog metalcore stuff, and probably my favourite album by Born of Osiris. I'm still a recent fan of them. Well, I say fan, I'm still a recent listener of them. So yeah, I should probably go through their older stuff to some point, but still quite enjoyed the bits of this I think I was supposed to enjoy. Next we go to Germany for the first time in quite a while, a place called Fürth, for a bit of punky rocky sort of stuff, a band called Brunhilde, and their new album In Love Yours Hate. Now admittedly, when I first heard the band's name, I kept thinking of Django Unchained because that's the name of the woman's name from a movie, and it made me really want to rewatch Django Unchained because it's been a while. I'm giving it a B minus though. I thought it was really good in places. Production's solid. I will admit it's got a good polish, and part of me did want more of a rough edge to things, but I like how clean it feels because it doesn't really overtake the sound, and I like the instrumentation, but while it has a good mixture of sounds, because it's difficult to bog down the band genre because it's like a mix of punk rock and hard rock, like a bit of sleaze and some alternative metal, which is good. It's a good style mix, but they don't seem to be either sticking to one thing well or mixing them together as much. I mean, the guitar and drums are great, but I just wanted the sounds to blend more than they do. I feel the same about the pacing as well. It's got a good flow to it, and I like the experimentation, but it needed to put its genres together better, or just stick to the more sleazy rock stuff, because of all the things that they tried to do in this album, and I can only assume all the things they've tried to do in their career, because this is their fifth one, they're the best at the hard rock stuff, and I think just if they kept doing that, the album would have come across a bit more cohesively. Same with the lyrics as well. I couldn't find anything about writing, but I think it's stuff like anti-religious and anti-human and based on the theme of hatred, according to the band, which is fine, but the world's got enough of it. It's got enough hatred, and while I get there can be a valid emotion in songs and stuff, I don't know, most of my favourite stuff from this year has been primarily happy stuff. I do like the band though. I think they all work together quite well. Lead singer Carolyn Loy has a really good delivery, and she has rock star charisma. And I think she should have leaned into that because she's good at the rock singing and really good at screaming too. She can scream. Credits to her. I don't know. It's a good album. It's got good bones, but I feel like there could have been a bit more done with it. And considering what they had to play with, they don't really do as much as they could have. Next we have maybe the biggest drop from the past weekend. We have a band, well rather a duo called Clips, and their new album Let God Sort 'Em Out. So this is a rap duo who formed back in the 90s, I want to say. This is my first time hearing about them because this is their first album in 16 years. And I'm giving it an A+. I really fucking enjoyed this one. So it consists of brothers Pusha T and Malice. And Pharrell Williams does most of the production. Well, he does all of the production. It's so good to have a rap album that doesn't have 20 billion fucking producers on it. So thank you, Pharrell, even though this is my first time listening to an album produced by him, I think. But yeah, really fucking loved it. Performance is great. I loved the chemistry. The guest spots are all really good, but it is most... God, my arm. Ignore that. But it is mostly the chemistry between Malice and Pusha T that really fucking sells it for me, especially Malice. He goes the fuck off on all of these verses, and the production's great as well. Pharrell adds good dimensionality to the mix, and yes, I did learn that word recently. It's a good word. But you know, it also makes it sound dense and organic at the same time, and I just really like how fleshed out it makes the songs feel. I like the lyricism as well. So interesting thing when looking at main lyrical themes, the band usually talks about like the illegal drug trade and stuff, but in this one they get more into stuff about like political stuff and songs calling out terrible human beings. There's specifically a song with Kendrick featured on it that calls out, I think, yeah, it calls out Drake, but there's also a song that calls out Kanye West and all that, like, fucking bollocks, because Kanye West and Drake are just rappers that nobody likes. Neither do I, which is why I'll never cover either of them. So I hope you're good with that, because it makes me happy not having to go over those assholes. Anyway, really good themes there as well, and also good things relating to faith and the passing of the brother's parents, which is oddly wholesome for an album with as much vitriol as this one has in its lyrics for specific dickheads in the industry. To have also songs that counterbalance it with, like, you know, a genuine heart and soul to them, I really enjoyed that as well. The structure is really good. I feel like it can lack a little bit of impact at times, but it's got really good flow and nice cohesion, and it bounces quite effortlessly from song to song. It's all really good. Instrumentation I like as well. There's good usage of samples. I really need to look at what samples are from what. But, you know, there's also nice symphonic elements, and I wish that those were used more, because, like, there's more than a few songs that use, like, strings and violins, and I'm like, can we do that more in rap? I like it when jazz and symphonic elements are used on rap. It sounds really good. But yeah, this is probably the biggest drop from last weekend, and probably my favourite album from last weekend, so I can recommend it. Next we have a debut, and I know it's a debut, because it's literally titled My First Album by an artist named Jessica Winter, who is sort of a synth pop, alt pop kind of artist. I'm giving this one a B-. So I have one of my main issues with this is the same one I have with Born of Osiris' album, in that this feels a bit bloated. This feels a bit more bloated than Born of Osiris' album does, especially in the first half, because for some reason the first half is a bit way too experimental and just chucks things at a wall. But from the second half onwards, it pulls itself back a bit, and there's some really good songs. My favourite song on the album is titled Wannabe, which is just Jessica with an acoustic guitar singing a bit and with really good lyrics. So it's just weird how that's done. But like, I think the second half saves the fumbles that the first half has, personally. But you know, the production also feels like it can do a bit too much at times. I can't deny that there's something organic in the mess of it, and I think that's my main feeling about the entire album. It is a bit unsure of where it wants to go, but I can't say that it doesn't have good intentions, because it clearly does. Lyrics are okay as well. I think there's stuff about love maybe in a positive way, and it's a bit repetitive in some songs, but again, it doesn't not have heart, you know. Jessica's performance is my favourite thing. I don't think there's any guest spots on this album, and her vocals are really good, and they sound a lot better when she's not being overly processed, because that is kind of an issue that the production has, but when she's allowed to sing organically, it sounds really pleasant, and the instrumentation is really good too. It's got some good guitar bits, and with it being more poppy, it does have focus on the keyboard and synth stuff, but like, you know, it's got all these really nice elements that work together nicely. So yeah, a bit too full of itself and a bit overly ambitious, but there's nothing wrong with wanting to just throw all kinds of shit at the wall on your first album. I just think it could have been managed a bit better, especially because I was gonna say, yeah, because it was handled by Jessica because she produced it, but so did 8 other people. And like, next album, could she just produce on her own and just let her own ideas flow out? I think that's what the second half of this album is. It's just her ideas coming out a bit more clearly. So yeah, if she could do that for her next one, and I hope she does drop the next one, I'd be all for it to see what she can do on her own. Next up, we have Open Mike Eagle. I still fucking love that name. With his new album, Neighborhood Gods Unlimited. Now, I didn't know that he dropped an album back in 2023, and I completely missed that one. But I'm giving this one an A-. I think this was really good stuff. Lyrics are pretty great. I like the themes of technology and just trying to find a sense of self in a world where technology is clearly overtaking. And there's also just really good humour, which makes sense. Open Mike Eagle. I'm just going to call him Open because it's funny. No, I won't call him Mike. Is a comedian, so, you know, he's got a good grasp of humour, and it works. I actually need to check out his comedy sets, though, at some point. But he's a funny rapper, is my point. Performances are really good. He has good delivery, and there's some... I think there's guest spots. Yeah, I think there is. But it is mostly Mike, and his charisma and delivery and honesty have always been a really good sticking point when it comes to listening to his music, and yeah, that really hasn't gone away at all. I enjoy the production, it does have good bones. I find it weird, though, that most of the songs have unique producers, but all the songs have this weirdly, like, fuzzy sound. Mike was one of the producers. I think he was the exec producer. It was mostly handled by a guy named Willie Green and had like a bunch of other people working on it. But it just feels weird that all of them have like this sort of staticky, buzzy sound to them. It's really weird, and it's on quite a lot of the songs. There's how many? 14? It's on at least 11 of them that I can remember. I do think the structuring could have been a bit better as well. It's maybe the weakest aspect to me, but you know, even if it's a bit unfocused, I can't deny that it just has this warm feeling to it that made me feel oddly comfy, and it mixes things up nicely enough for the sound to work. I just think it can also sound like a bit like some of the songs are the same as each other, and it can feel a bit stream of consciousy, you know, and like it doesn't feel as songy as it should at times, but that is also part of its charm, so I'm not going to completely fault it. I like the instrumental work, there's really good beats, and I like the more old school feel. Like there's a very good like late 80s, early 90s vibe to the hippity hoppy stuff. And yeah, really good mix from the producers on said beats. Just like a classic bit of hip hoppy stuff. Not really many complaints. Well, I've gone through my complaints, so I can't really say that, can I? But I still give it a solid recommend. And finally, we have a band that sounds like a really weird sweat-related medical condition, Wet Leg, with their second album, Moisturizer. I was fully convinced I covered their self-titled debut 3 years ago. Turns out no. I still enjoyed this one, though. This was a good bit of English, specifically. Sort of indie rock, post-punky stuff. And giving it a B+. I thought it had some really good bits to it. I like the mixture of synths and keyboards with the guitar work. It's probably one of my favourite aspects of the album. There's really good poppy elements worked into that I think could have been worked in more. I liked it when they did pop up, and I think, no pun intended, and I think that they make the sound feel nice and fleshed out. Sorry for scratching my hair there, I'm just trying to keep it out of the fucking way of my face. Performances are really good as well. I will highlight lead guitarist slash curly vocalist Hester Chambers. She did a really good job. Her guitar work is good, and she's a proper good singer. Not to take away anything from the main singer, but I think Hester just did the best job on the album. I like the lyrical themes. It explores all the parts of love, from like happiness to sadness to obsession to lust, with kind of an emphasis on lust, because my favourite song on the album is titled Pillow Talk, and it's quite filthy. It's quite naughty. Yeah, it's a bit descriptive, to say the least. But still a proper good song, and it's got this weird sort of laid-back vibe to it, which I think kind of helps. I wanted to enjoy the structuring a bit more than I did. It's been a main source of complaint through this video, hasn't it? It's not badly put together, it's got good continuation, but I feel like there could have been more done with the sounds at play. Sort of the similar issue I had with Brunhilde's album. You know, they've got all these elements, I just think that they could have mixed them in a bit better. Like, they had them all in a pot, and some bits kept falling out, and they were just like, oh no, I don't know what the fuck I'm doing, but my point stands that, you know, they have all these good things, and they didn't use all of the good things as much as they could have. Probably. I think the production makes up for it, though. Really good how it shapes the sound, and solid style mixing, and it just makes it sound really nice and fleshed out, and sound really good. It adds to the sort of oddly comfy vibe that the album has. Next, I'll go over favourite song and favourite album cover, and they both go to the same one. That would be Clips with Let God Sort Them Out. I like how the cover looks. It reminds me a bit of like Rubber Hose animation, but with like a POV shot, and for some reason there's a skeleton. But it looks really nice, and the old version of the cover is not bad, but like the normal version just looks really good, and I like the usage of pink as a warm background colour. And my favourite song is from that album titled Chains and Whips. Really good bit of political stuff with a good focus on police brutality and racism. And pertinent song considering the whole fucking ICE and immigration thing happening in America. I hope that any immigrant friends I have who happen to be watching this who are in the States stay safe and fight for their fucking rights. And now for the albums I'm going to be covering, starting technically today because it's Friday when all these albums come out. We have Darren Malakian and Scars on Broadway with Addicted to the Violence, Hard Life with Onion. I'm looking forward to that one because of the weird story behind the band's name. Laura Jane Grace and the Trauma Tropes with Adventure Club. Oscarian, I hope I'm saying that correctly, with Hollow Fangs. Panic Shack with Panic Shack. And Slaughter to Prevail with Grizzly. And that'll about do it from me. I will see you all tonight for the fourth and final night of the Golden Path Tournament, the semi-finals, which will have our first ever triple threat semi-final tournament match because of the Iron Tables match that ended in a draw. So we had to hastily put that one together. That's going to be really interesting to see who comes out on top in that one. And I'll see you all for that. And on Saturday for more Yakuza Like a Dragoning. And as always, excuse my hair. Thank you for watching. You're awesome. Bye bye.